On this fine Friday, welcome. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Sandra Smith, co-host of After the Bell on Fox Business, Melissa Francis, Democratic strategist and Fox News contributor, Julie Roginski, and today's hashtag One Lucky Guy, former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, both sides of the aisle, Fox News legal analyst, Arthur Idala.
An overall, nice guy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like
you
hear about a lawyer, a prosecutor, defense. I'm nice, right, Harris? We've
And you're outnumbered.
Oh, and the colors, I love it. It's like I'm sitting around a color wheel. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
You guys look great.
That. Yeah, and you've got your royal tie.
Yeah, I'm trying to look very, I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying not to be outnumbered, but it's not going to work.
Happy Friday, Arthur.
Good to have you. All right, let's get to it. Could it be panic time for Hillary Clinton? Some of her powerful donors reportedly raising some big concerns about her email scandal during a conference call with her campaign this week. One top donor from Florida quoted saying, "There's no question in my mind that between now and next November, there will be new Benghazis and new emails," end quote. And that he hoped lessons had been learned from the email fiasco, his words. And on that phone call, Clinton press secretary Brian Fallon reportedly insisted Team Clinton will be ready for any new attacks and will establish a, quote, war room to respond to next month's congressional Benghazi hearing. Meanwhile, there are also concerns Clinton's real trouble may be with her party's own moderates, not actually those on the far left. This is new recent polling shows the Democratic frontrunner's support among her party's middle is slipping, and Joe Biden's numbers, especially there in that middle, are surging. A co-founder of the centrist Democratic Leadership Council, which helped put Bill Clinton in the White House, says, quote, "It's more a reflection of people asking questions about her than strongly going to other candidates," end quote. You're nodding. Why?
I think that hits the nail on the head. And I also think that our system, there should be a choice. And right now, I know there is one person out there who calls himself a socialist. That's not really a choice for your mainstream Democrat. And although, in my opinion, even though the emails are out there, as a lawyer, I'm looking at this as a lawyer. If I was a prosecutor prosecuting Hillary with what I know from reading the newspaper, there isn't, Harris, that smoking gun that I could go in and convince 12 jurors beyond a reasonable doubt that she's guilty. Is it yet to come? Possibly. But I think people want a choice, and it seems like Biden is like the low-hanging fruit in terms of the choice.
So not necessarily a smoking gun, but maybe several guns. Because here's the problem. On that phone call, Brian Fallon says, "I'll be very clear. This issue about the emails is going to be with us for the next several months, if only because the emails themselves are on a schedule where they are released every 30 days. Julie, how does she respond to this? I mean, every 30 days, she's got to come back to this.
Yeah, my concern is not so much that there's going to be new scandals, and I use the word scandals in quotation because it's political season, so there's always going to be something erupting. That's going to apply to anybody who's a Republican or the Democratic nominee. My concern is how she's handled these scandals, and that, to me, is really the problem for her as a candidate. She has been, I think, abysmal, and so is her team, in addressing these issues. And instead of addressing them head-on, email scandal being one, they really let it fester. To this day, I'm not sure exactly what the message is supposed to be about that from the campaign, and that's problematic. If this is the person you're going to take into the general election, is your standard bearer for a lot of Democrats. It's not the scandal, it's the response to the scandal.
I still don't understand why she and her team don't have a prepared response.
I don't either.
For what is your number one accomplishment while at Secretary
as
Secretary of State?
I agree with you 100%.
It's shocking to me. But meanwhile, we're talking about these donors. And Melissa, maybe you can back me up on this, but we talk to those on the bigwigs on Wall Street every day. Unwavering support there. Okay? The last one we spoke with Robert Wolf yesterday morning on Mornings with Maria. Unwavering support still says he supports Hillary Clinton for president. I've been referencing John Mack of Morgan Stanley, formerly Morgan Stanley. They are still supporting her because they see her populist message on Wall Street as not one she will actually follow through with.
Right.
They see her as a problem solver and somebody who will do good for business.
I think, to be perfectly honest, I think they feel like she's a politician who's bought and paid for. That she's someone they donate to her campaign. She's a known quantity, that she goes easy on Wall Street. She goes easy on the banks. They can count on her. They know where she's going to be. I don't think they care about the rest of what she's doing politically. I think that with, a lot of the Republicans, they don't know how they're going to respond or how they're going to come down or not on Wall Street. Street. And they also feel like, I know from talking to them personally, that they were very burned by President Obama, who they supported, and then came after them and made them the whipping boys and the fat cats and all the different names that they used on them. But I think that they feel like they can count on Hillary Clinton to support them and go easy on them.
Well, Benghazi's coming next month. Those hearings start October 22nd, and her team formed this war room. It'll be interesting to see how they, circle the wagons, if you will, on that daily news cycle.
All right, we'll keep watching it. Meanwhile, during this week's Republican debate, Carly Fiorina said the best way to stump a Democrat is to ask about Hillary Clinton's record as Secretary of State. And when Hillary was asked to name her number one accomplishment at state, instead of directly answering the question, she said this.
Didn't get to see all of their debate, but I saw enough of it to know that this is just the usual back and forth political attacks, the kinds of things you say when you're on a debate stage and you really don't have much else to say. There's a long list about what I have done, and I'm very proud of it. You can read my book, Hard Choices, read about how I negotiated a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. You can read about how I put together the coalition that led to international sanctions against Iran. This is just the silly season.
This is a long list. Read my book. This is just the silly season. Julie, while she was saying all those things, you were shaking your head.
This is what I'm talking about. This is the problem. 3 things she could have said easily. You want to know what my biggest accomplishments are? Too many to name just one. But I can talk about the fact that I negotiated Iran nuclear sanctions, the toughest in the world. I helped pass S-chip that provided millions of children with health care. And I helped bring reconstruction money back to New York after 9/11. Boom. And that's all you have to say. Why plug your book? Well, thank you. Why that's what I do for a living. Why plug your book? Why talk about, the silly season? Just list them. Too many to list, just one. Here are the top 3. I could go on and give you more.
But isn't it interesting, the one that you said, and she said the second one, that she put together the coalition that led to the international sanctions against Iran?
Thank you.
But, the president just came out and undid that. And she supported the undoing of her best accomplishment. You can't say we got anything out of it.
She would argue that the reason we got something out of it, and she would argue, she would quibble out of it. She would argue that we got Iran to suspend its nuclear program. She would say is because she negotiated these very tough sanctions.
Any verification whatsoever of that. There's no evidence about anything differently at all. We just gave up the sanctions. That was it.
But you're debating the policy, whereas she's going to say this for her base, and that's the difference. The difference is that she could have said that causation led to this. What I did.
We put sanctions on, we took sanctions off.
But what's interesting about what you're saying, Melissa, is the fact that because of the email scandal and these other things that she's had to be so reactive to, she hasn't been able to comment on the daily news flow. And what you're talking about is a daily news flow item that she might have wanted to weigh in on. But she's not talking about Iran because she's too busy trying to figure out whether or not she had more than one server that she should tell everybody about.
But going back to Sandra's original question, she's done this before. It's not even the first time she's run for president of the United States. You have to have a 30-second response. If you asked me right now what was your greatest accomplishment as an attorney, I would say Bridget Harris. She had gotten raped by her father. She killed her father. I represented her for free, and I saved her a lifetime in jail. Boom. That's my greatest accomplishment.
So why
as an attorney.
Can't she answer?
Like she should have that at the tip of her fingers.
Because she's not a great communicator, and that's the bottom line.
But she should have people around her you training her to do that.
No. Let me tell you something.
Give her some cards.
No, but you guys, let me tell you this. Having now worked with candidates, and I will tell you this, she has some very good people around her. Joel Benenson, her chief strategist, was the architect of Obama's win. Fantastic, brilliant guy. It's the candidate. It always comes to the candidate. There's nothing, you can script somebody, you can give them this, you can give them that. It all comes down to the candidate. And she's out there and she's the one delivering the message. And unfortunately, from what I've seen today and what I've seen in the last 6 months, she's just
That's a ground ball. That's a ground ball.
When local people would run for office and they were kind of newbies, they had those flip index card books. I'm serious. And their campaign teams would write their notes out, anticipating what, it was like a debate type of prep that you would do every morning, the infrastructure that it took to do that.
Yep.
She's bragging about how many people she has in place on the ground in places like Iowa. They could easily be doing these things.
No, and they probably are, and I'm sure she's got a great communications team, and I'm sure they're doing it. But
what is she leaving the index cards in the car?
Look, you can't make somebody deliver, and Melissa, you used to be an actress, right? Somebody could teach you how to do this, but unless you know how to do it, you can't do it.
It's funny you should say that, because when I watched her on Jimmy Fallon and she was delivering the joke that she'd clearly rehearsed and somebody had written for her, where she said, you know, there's very big things on these emails, how to get gefilte fish into Israel, whatever it was that she said on that. And it was very clear that it was a scripted line that somebody thought would be funny, that she had practiced a whole bunch of times. And I thought, boy, is she a bad actor.
Oh.
Like, she can't deliver the line that was given to her, and you can't fix that. You can't fix that.
Exactly.
I agree with
the
you.
read my book, though, response.
I agree. Well, I mean, don't plug your book.
I think that's what got you, Julie.
Don't
All
plug
right.
the book.
New reaction to the revelation that the United States spent tens of millions to train Syrian rebels to fight ISIS, and only 4 or 5 recruits remain. Time to rethink our strategy. And Donald Trump says he's being held to a gender double standard, arguing his comments about Carly Fiorina's appearance were viewed more harshly than remarks she's made about her competitors. We'll debate.